Good morning, and thank you again for clicking on my channel. Okay, so I was going to do this post last night, but it was getting really late, and so I said I'll just do it tomorrow, which is now today. So I watched The Invite, which is a movie with Olivia Wilde, Seth Rogen, Penelope Cruz, Edward Norton. Um, and it's directed by Olivia Wilde. Writers is Will McCormick, Seth Gay, and the premise is Joe and Angelina's marriage is on thin ice, which is portrayed by Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde. When they invite uh, ig- ig- um, their upstairs neighbors for a dinner party, the night spirals into an unexpected places. Um, and it's a comedy slash drama slash romance, and I'll I actually pretty much enjoyed this movie. It was more funnier than I thought it was going to be, and when the drama hit. Um, So, if you haven't seen this movie, check it out, and especially if you like Seth Rogen. Um, but yeah, it was very interesting, and like it states, Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde's character Joe and Angelina, or why not say Angelina? Angela. They're married and their relationship is on thin ice. It's like almost immediately as soon as he walks in the door of their place, it's like they almost start arguing. And when you start arguing with somebody, when you immediately walk into a door, you either need to one kind of act like you were dating again, like take your spouse out for a night out, like romance her, show her or him that like they're still the one. And if that don't work, two, there's always couples therapy. And then three, if that don't work, well, maybe it's time to call it quits. Especially if you have a child in this scenario. And I always hated, and I know a lot of people can agree with me, I always hated when they use a child for an excuse why they can't get out of a marriage. Well, we're only staying together because of the kid. You're screwing up the kid more now than you ever will, because if they ever grow up and they get with someone, they're going to think that's normal to be with someone, and their lives are so fucking messed up. You know what I'm saying? So, no, that is not what we do here. Because I'll tell you what, as much as, well, I don't really, we won't talk about my father. But as much as I love my mother, I always seen her and my father argue so much, but I always thought it was normal. You know what I'm saying? And then when I got old enough to like go, like stay over someone's house, even like if it was my cousins, they didn't argue. Their parents never argued. Um, so I was always like, are we the ones that are fucked up? And they realized, yes, we are. We are the fucked up ones. So anyway, back to the movie. Okay, so Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton's character. Uh, Penelope plays Pena, and Edward plays Hawk, and it's really centered around these four characters. There are some other characters in this movie, but they're really not worth mentioning because seriously, like the majority of this movie takes place in their apartment. Okay, so Joe, Seth's character, um, he's complaining to his wife, Angela, played by Olivia, um, that our neighbors, which is their upstairs neighbors, they are making way too much noise, and it's even bothering their daughter. And so he tries to confront them, like going to their house, but you see like it's on the Ring camera, and he's like acting like, oh, "What are you doing over?" Like just kind of basically being Seth Rogen, and um, so Angela is like, "No, do not confront them. We're having a dinner party," and like he's even like throw back like, "What? We're having a dinner party, and you invited them?" And it's like, "Yes." Um, she's apparently having better sex than I ever have, and she apparently comes a lot. So I would love to know what she is doing and what I can do, or what she can teach me, basically. So, uh, it just like it almost like spirals out of control, basically. So anyway, they invite them. They do come over, and it's awkward from the get go because Joe doesn't want them there, and he makes it clear by subtleties. And um Olivia's I'm sorry, Angela is trying to make them feel welcome, make them feel comfortable and everything like that inside their house. So she's offering piña, um um like she made like a charcuterie board, like, oh no, we got this types of meats here, we got some cheese, this and that, blah blah blah. She's like, oh, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat meat, and then I don't do cheese because I'm lactose intolerant and all this kind of shit. And she's like, oh, she's like, don't worry about it, like I'm good, I'm good. Although she was like snacking on some olives, and eventually, like, Joe decided, like, you know what? I'm gonna go take a little smoke break, go smoke a blunt. And Pena's like, "Oh, can I join you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess." So they go smoke together while Angela takes Hawk on a tour of their apartment, which, by the way, is actually a pretty nice apartment. Um, I forgot like where they live, but it I hate to say like most places give me like New York vibes, but that was giving me New York vibes. I could have been wrong. It could have been like Chicago or something like that. Um, but so while they're getting high, Angela and Hawk said, "Well, hey, since they're kind of ahead of us, like, do you got some tequila? Like, we got to catch up." So then they start drinking and everything. And then they get back in the room, and then eventually they start talking about the elephant in the room. Like, what is all the noise about upstairs? And then they dive into it. She's like, "Well, so we have some parties, and we invite couples over." And they're like, okay, so you invite couples over, just to like what, entertain them? It's like, yeah, but more to it. It's like they were trying to say it without saying it. You know what I mean? So, um, they're like, so okay, let's just blurt it out. We have sex parties. She's like, what? You guys have sex parties? They're like, yes. So typically it's like another couple. Sometimes it's like no more than six. So it's like an extra couple. But there's been times where there's been 10 people in there. Um, and just, oh my God. And then they get into like places where you're like, yeah, I like to be, Pena saying this, like, I like to be the dominant one. I like to use the strap on and peg Hawk. And they're like, oh my goodness. It's just wild, like even trying to imagine. And so the reason, and of course, this is why it's called the invite, is like, so the reason why we came over here, not only because you invited us, but is we wanted to invite you guys upstairs to join us sometime. Like, it could be tonight, it could be another night. And they was like, whoa, wow, really? And then Joe's like, you mean her? Like, yeah, you too. You want me too? Like, he's just like in shock, like, you want me too? Um, so then Penelope's character is like, um, but I just don't know about the energy right now. Like, y'all, you guys have been arguing so much. I just feel like it's gonna be way too chaotic. So how about we just do like a one-on-one for right now? So Pena took Joe into like his office. They try to be like a little, romantic together, and then Angela took Hawk into the kitchen, and they were trying to, get their groove on. It didn't go well, to say the least. It did not go well. Um, but overall, like I said, like when the drama hits, it hits, and honestly, it's more comedy than anything. But there's definitely some drama in there, and there's some moments where it's like it gets real. But overall, you know what? I think I'd give this movie a 7 out of 10. And let's see what some of the reviewers are going to say. Reviewers say the invite showcases exceptional performances from its four-person cast, with Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz earning particular acclaim for their um, nuanced work. Olivia Wilde's confident direction and the film's sharp, dark humor create a hilarious yet tension filled experience that most find highly engaging and thought provoking. However, the Celio heavy muscle score divided audiences. I will I will say, and I almost forgot about that, the music that's in this film is like it's so, it almost like overpowers their their delivery, because like it I don't know who thought about this, and they probably should not have done it, but like normally like the score is like before or after, somewhere in the midst of it. But this is like almost like while they're talking, and it just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I almost forgot about that. And then it says, was some finding it distracting and overpowering? So yes, I would agree with that. A few reviewers also struggled with the film's uncomfortable vibe, finding it unengaging despite widespread praises for its wit and ensemble chemistry. So yeah, it's like you have to know kind of like what you're watching and what you're getting yourself into. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so yeah, let's see. This one gives a 9 out of 10, a fairly uncomfortable yet funny ride. This one was a surprise. I didn't expect much out of it before the movie started, but man, did it prove me wrong. It was funny, uncomfortable, tense, and yet very cute experience. A lot of credit has to obviously go to the cast, which consists of a four people ensemble, and all of them excelled and passed the test with flying colors. All in all, the invite was great. Um, this next one is an 8 out of 10. This is pretty lengthy, but let's try to get through it, shall we? An Unexpected Pleasure. 19th century Irish novelist, playwright, and around Coulter, Oscar Wilde, widely known for his wit and observations about life, is generally credited for the following arguably astute advice. One should always be in love. This is the reason why one should never marry, and it's most fitting that those very words should eloquently serve as a cinematic epigraph at the start and of the latest feature from actress director Olivia Wilde. Her best work behind the camera to date. Based on the 2020 Spanish comedy drama Sentimental, released domestically as The People Upstairs, the American remake presents an incisive, sometimes brutal, often cynical look at the subject of marriage through the eyes of a long wedded San Francisco couple. Okay, so this is San Francisco. My bad. Uh, Joe, who is played by Seth Rogen, and Angela, played by Olivia Wilde. Um, when they invite their upstairs neighbors, Pena, played by Penelope, and Hawk, by Edward Norton, to their place for a dinner, admittedly, Joe and Angela don't know their guest well, but they certainly seem to know a lot about them and have developed well defined opinions about them. The sparks start to fly before Pena and Hawk arrive. However, when it becomes apparent that the hosts are ill prepared for the festivities, a scenario that reveals much about them and the state of the marriage, and when the guests arrive, they pick up the emotional turmoil quickly. Their keen observation skills and in turn prompt a series of hilarious, intense, and tension-filled episodes with Joe and Angela, and by extension within each partnership, provoking provocative twists and turns that leave both couples drastically changed by night's end. Their time together is replete with witty and scathing humor that frequently goes for a jugular, as well as moments of deep drama, heartwarming tenderness, and stunning insights about one another. While the film occasionally tries a little too hard to evoke viewer responses, um, once the picture finds its groove, it effectively fires on all cylinders thanks to the outstanding writing and stellar performances of the perfectly cast quartet. The invite feels very much like a Woody Allen movie from the days when he was at the peak of his career, but without being a blatant copycat. What's more, given than that the bulk of the film takes place on one set, it comes across like a play, but never feels the least bit stagey. Maintaining a steady pace and effectively holding audiences' attention, the release defied any expectations I might have had about it going into the theater. A pleasant surprise in itself, but the fact that it shines on so many uh, fronts makes it all more worthwhile. The picture is admittedly sometimes a little cringy to watch, but it always rebounds, redeeming itself by making you laugh. And that's one invitation I'd always be eager to accept. Okay, like I said, that was very lengthy. Okay, so this one. Okay, look, thankfully this is short. So this one's a 9 out of 10. Um, a hidden gem. Had to make sure I didn't read this. Okay. This movie was a hidden gem for me. I hadn't heard about it until I saw the trailer the day before. I enjoyed it a lot. The plot is simple and predictable, but still engaging and entertaining. The cinematographer's work is awesome too. The cast did an incredible job. Found out during the movie that Olivia Wilde was a director of the movie. I was pleasantly surprised. Okay. A lot of these are pretty high on the ranking. That's pretty good. Here's another 9 out of 10. A modern treat to watch. I sat with this movie for 2 days before writing a review, and I proved it to be as impactful as I thought it would be. Anyone who's been in a relationship, whether or not, um, is resembled either to uh, resembled either of the two couples' dynamics will ring familiar bells, which makes it that much more entertaining and awkward. I'm not the biggest fan of Olivia Wilde, but she did very well with the many emotional levels of character movies moves through, especially in contrast with Seth Rogen monotone impressions. I don't think much was required of Cruise and Norton for their characters, but they played them so well and their chemistry felt effortless. I thoroughly enjoyed the dialogue and handling of sensitive topics, the cinematography, and fun blocking in the apartments, which was especially satisfying to notice. Overall, it was a nice surprise to see this kind of movie in 2026. Slow, dialogue heavy, nicely colored, and handling its big names properly. Okay? Um, okay. 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 I read that one. I'm trying to see which ones I hadn't read. Sorry. Okay, I think this is okay. We're not gonna read that one, but let me see if I can like summarize it. Um, hmm, I can't really. But anyway, this person gave it a 7 out of 10, talking about the neighbors upstairs. Um, but yeah, seems to be highly rated. It's either like between a 7, 8, or a 9, and I did like a 7. So yeah, um, I thought it was actually pretty funny. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. Especially if you like any of those characters or actors, I should say. Um, so yeah, so if you've seen it, let me know. Comment down below. If you do plan to check it out, also let me know. Um, um, and also click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay? Thanks so much. Bye. Mwah.